If you've ever wanted to create hand-drawn designs that stand out and feel authentic, you're in the right place. This unique approach to sketching will help you bring your ideas to life in a way that's flexible and captures your true vision. Imagine sketching any concept on the go, whether it's at your desk or out in the field, so to speak, while keeping proportions, colors, and textures spot on. Hello, I'm Iana, and this is how I draw interiors on both on paper and on my iPad. Even as a child, I was fascinated by the drawings of my mom, who's an architect, and how she combines the technical aspect of her work with creativity and art. And I didn't realize back then, but that had a huge impact on my work and what I do today. Anyway, then during my interior design studies, we had a professor who he forced us to use sketching in our university projects, and he also showed us how some famous architects like Frank Gehry or Hans Scharon implemented sketching into their work too. But on the other hand, he didn't need to convince me because I was already using sketching in my projects, and maybe a little bit too much, as I even replaced computer renderings through sketches. But for me, to be honest, computer renderings are simply too lifeless. They lack that attention to details, when you want to change something, a small element, for instance, and then you need to redo the entire render, and then you have to wait for it, I don't know for how many days or hours, Then for me, computer renderings are too inflexible, this is exactly what I was just talking about. And they simply look average, and I didn't want to be like everybody else. So I wanted to stand out, I wanted to impress my professors, and this is exactly what I did. So get ready to get to know my top 5 interior drawing techniques that I've been using for over a decade, and get ready to get started with this truly unique hand-drawn skill right away. Let's jump right into it. The first technique is quick pen sketching. All you need is one black pen, one pencil, and a couple of markers, that's it. Here we don't focus on details, but rather on capturing the overall atmosphere in just a few strokes. And this is, by the way, the technique our architecture professor encouraged us to use back then without focusing on realism. This is how we train ourselves to see the main elements of a concept and communicate them in a few impactful strokes. I'd also like to show you my sketchbooks from my interior design studies, where I captured essential ideas in just a few strokes. Now moving on to my iPad. This is a more detailed drawing technique, and the app I draw all of my sketches in is called Procreate. It runs on Apple only. This is an iPad Pro 12.9-inch with 1 TB of storage, just for your information. Now let's get back to our drawing. I started with super quick underlines in order to define the overall proportions for my future interior. A very important aspect to keep in mind is that at this stage we don't focus on being neat. Important is to capture the overall proportions, the overall atmosphere, so that we know where the sofa will be drawn, where the window will be, and all these things. After that, we move on to the framework, and this is how we can make sure that our sketches are to scale and that the perspective is correct as well. This sketch has a 2-point perspective, followed by drawing the final neat contours based on which I applied base colors, shadows, and all the final details. As you just saw, this sketch was created completely from scratch with those loose lines, right? There is another approach in how you can start drawing from scratch, but this time I'm going to show you how to use the drawing guide feature for that. This is when you start with straight lines directly. Let me open this interior and show you what I mean. This is the layer, the very first layer I created, and you see that there are no loose lines, right? All the lines are straight, the composition is clear. And This was possible thanks to the Drawing Assist feature being activated. This is one of the most essential Procreate features for drawing interiors or for developing your own design ideas. Here you can define your perspective, 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective. Here you can also activate the straight lines, vertical and horizontal, the symmetric feature, as well as the symmetry guide. Speaking of which, this is how I sketched this vase, by the way. Basically, you position the line of the symmetry guide in the center, you start drawing the left side, and the right side is being drawn automatically. So I'm now going to switch back to the perspective guide, otherwise the symmetry guide will keep working and I don't need that. And since we're on the sketch, I'd like to invite you to draw the exact same interior with my step-by-step guidance in my upcoming drawing workshop. You'll be learning every single aspect of creating interiors in the Procreate app, how to use the drawing guide option, how to apply color inside one particular area. For instance, you'd like to recolor something, or you'd like to play around with different color choices, without having to redraw your interior. Then we'll be learning and integrating PNG libraries. For instance, this particular texture here, these particular tiles were integrated because I once created them a couple of months ago or something like that, and I didn't see the need to draw the texture once again. And this is how this app and digital drawing in general can help you speed up your drawing process, develop your own ideas further, because the opportunities in digital drawings are simply endless. So this is where to attend. It's completely free. It's a detailed step-by-step drawing workshop. In addition to the drawing part, we'll also be talking about professional uses of digital drawing, how you can implement it into your work right after the workshop, and all these things. And this is gonna be the interior that you'll be drawing with my guidance. See you there, and let's continue our work. And the next interior drawing technique I'd like to show you is similar to paper sketching, but it combines all of the benefits of digital drawing. I call it travel sketching. As you can see, these are super quick drawings without any details. The approach is the same, only 3 brushes were used. The first brush was for super quick contours in order to define the overall composition for these sketches. After that, I applied the final contours, followed by adding quick marker strokes. And the sketches are done. Let me show you a couple of more examples using this technique, which I created back in New York. These are some of the elements of the hotel I stayed at, the Marlton Hotel. This is one of the most stylish hotels I've ever stayed at. Not sponsored by them, obviously. This is another furniture sketch. I was so inspired by one of the exhibitions at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, so that after that I went to the Central Park and decided to sketch all of my impressions, and this is the result. Less than an hour, super quick, no stress, only pure joy. Of course, it's all about, working with the right brushes at the same time, because these are the brushes I've been working with for over, 3 or 4 years. I'm super confident with them, and that's why they allowed me to add that unique, artistic flair to my work. Then I also want to show you one of my recent interiors I created using that quick sketching technique, and the same story. First, I created the quick contours in order, to see where my sofa will be drawn, the armchair, and all these things, followed by the final contours and all these marker strokes. And that's it for this particular drawing technique. And this is how you can design interior concepts on the go, one of the most essential drawing techniques for interior designers. Well, no situations when we don't have time for a detailed drawing, or we don't have time to wait till our final rendering is ready, right? And this technique is a must when it comes to quick designing. Let's say you are currently with your client and you need to apply a couple of changes to your design concept, or you need to try out a couple of ideas in front of of your clients. How do you do that? Super simple. First, you need to take a picture of the space that needs to be redesigned. Then you're gonna want to import it into the Procreate app and start designing over the photo. So first, if you have time, you can create a framework. Remember the framework I mentioned at the beginning of the video. This is how you can make sure that everything is to scale. But if you simply need, to see the overall design idea, then this step isn't really necessary. All you have to do is to start importing some of the furniture items, some of the decor elements for your client to see what their space could look like. And they really appreciate it because how incredible it is for them to see you design and enjoying right in front of them. In my opinion, it also shows that you are a creative professional, that you're an innovative professional ready to be flexible, ready to adapt to the current situation. Because if you don't have this technique, if you don't have your iPad, then you have to get back to your office, then you have send all those emails back and forth, with designs, with the changes, with the revisions. We don't really like revisions, right? And this is how this technique is going to save you tons of time and even money, in my opinion, because time is money nowadays, right? And if you can directly define the direction your design concept is going to take with your client, this is going to be incredibly helpful. And at the end, if you have time, you can also create a detailed illustration out of that. But these are completely two different techniques. The other one I showed you at the beginning of the video, remember that detailed illustration. This is when you already have your technical requirement ready, all the textures have been finalized, the colors and all these things. But this quick drawing technique that I just showed you is for the initial design process, when you aren't really sure in which direction you'd like to move on with your client. And at the same time, this technique is also super helpful for home reno projects. So I've been using the exact same technique for my own home reno projects and I'm loving it, I'm telling you. And last but not least is the collage technique, which also has multiple variations. You can draw the entire collage, make it in a more detailed illustration, or alternatively, you can import some furniture pieces and combine them with hand-drawn elements, or you can use your iPad like Photoshop, for instance, where you don't draw anything but import all the elements instead. I've drawn to over 1,000 professionals and just look at what they say about implementing drawing into their work. Some of them impress their clients with their portfolios, some of them combine sketching with computer renderings, and some of them even land their dream jobs. Isn't that incredible how many professional opportunities drawing can actually bring? I've personally worked on truly inspiring projects worldwide. I illustrated an imaginary hotel room, New York, sketched an entire penthouse as a colored floor plan, drew an exterior, and also I illustrated a series of properties which weren't built, and the real estate agency needed really professionally looking and uniquely looking illustrations because they didn't have proper images to provide their clients with, for instance. So as you can see, this skill is an absolute must for every designer and every creative looking to level up their skills, stand out among their competitors, and simply stay up to date with innovation, And remember, I'll teach you all of this too. You can either start with my free drawing workshop, where we'll be drawing that blue kitchen, if you remember from the beginning of the video, or you can sign up for the most comprehensive course on the market in my 3D Drawing Academy with 100+ detailed step-by-step video tutorials and so much more. So happy creating and see you in the next video, everyone.